Alrighty, Jake Stuart with the National Sports Media Association. Today I'm joined by 2021 Idaho Sportscaster of the Year, Brittany Cooper. Brittany, thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Brittany, you're the sports director at KMVT-TV, and you also do plenty of work around there. You've been there since 2014, I believe, and you're also an evening anchor there. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I was in news prior to taking the position of sports director in 2014, and now I also am the evening anchor, which makes it for very busy days. I've been doing that since 2019, but I have a great staff and everyone works well together, so we get the job done.
Well, the first thing I wanted to ask you was kind of off of that. How do you manage the two roles, and how do you kind of budget your time?
Well, usually it starts in the morning where I start filtering through my emails and deciding what I'm going to cover for that day. We have a 2:00 editorial meeting, so I get to meet with the reporters and my news director and hear their stories, give them any insight or input since I have a background in news. And then usually I leave for my sports shoots, or I talk to my sports reporter who then leaves for his own shoots. And we go from there. So we have 3 newscasts that I have sports in at 6, 9, and 10. And then we have 4 evening shows. I don't do the 5 at all just because turning it for 5 would be very difficult in sports, but we make it work. It's all about flexibility and balance. Usually I stay up late, probably later than I should, till 1 a.m. posting stories to the website and social media, but that's what I signed up for.
Wow. Well, clearly your hard work paid off. I mean, you're getting this award, and what does this award mean to you? It's your first one from the National Sports Media Association.
It was really exciting. And once I found out I won the award, I went onto the website and looked through the state winners, which date back to the 50s. And I noticed that every single recipient was a man until now. And so I feel like I'm a trendsetter, paving the way for future women in sports. And there's a lot more women these days, especially, former athletes or just those that really have a feel for the game and wanting to learn more. And I feel, like I'm a trendsetter for those. And so it was very exciting. And to share the award with Chris Lewis over in Boise, he's actually the first African-American to win this award, was quite an honor. And he does a lot for Boise State and a very busy man. So I was very, very humbled and very surprised. I thought it was actually a joke when Dave called me from the National Sports Media Association, but no, it was legitimate. So, I guess my hard work has paid off.
Wow. Congratulations again. I want you to take me back a little bit. What brought you into the industry, Brittany?
Well, I played sports growing up in the Seattle area. I played volleyball, basketball, softball. One year I did track just to kind of condition for the other sports. And in college at the University of Washington, I held 2 internships at King 5 and KCBQ. And just being able to be on the field and get those stories that the fans don't know about. I mean, having that insight is what really drew me into the industry. Originally, I wanted to be a sports agent. And so someone told me I was too nice. I should have maybe listened to their advice. I'd probably be making more money right now, but it gravitated me towards this field. And I just love being able to tell a story and share it with the public.
Well, you talked about some of the previous winners and maybe some people you had mentioned. Who did you look up to growing up that maybe got you into news?
Growing up in Seattle, I love to watch Paul Sylvie and his flavor that he brought to the platform. He's still doing it to this day. He's been an icon in Seattle for quite some time. I just love Tony Ventrella. He had a comedic flair and he was kind of my mentor at KCBQ, the Fox station up there in Seattle. And then he started to do some work for the Seahawks, but they kept it real. Not every day is butterflies. You have to strive to be the best. You're not gonna make very much money in your starter market. And I think a lot of people have to realize that it's gonna be a grind, and you have to work your way up the ladder and take advice as you get it.
Well, I would assume, Brittany, that most of your work is covering Boise State and obviously some high school mixed in there. Would you say is there like a moment that stands out to you, or maybe a game that you covered that just really stands out?
Yeah, and I also cover CSI as well. They're a top-ranked junior college in the country. They're actually in Twin Falls, where I reside. And when I attended the national tournament in 2018, they were the 10 seed. And they worked their way up to the national championship because the tournament goes over like several days. And I had planned to be there for 3 because I didn't think they were gonna get that far. I ended up being there for 9 days in Hutchinson, Kansas, which is a tiny little place. And the one moment that really stood out to me was they were down by 15 to 17 points in the semifinal and came back and advanced to the national championship. And it was quite a thrill just watching this team that no one had thought was going to go far, almost win the Natty. So that was exciting.
Wow, we love the underdog story. So especially as sportscasters and sports writers, it's always awesome to hear. I wanted to ask you about COVID and how that maybe changed your landscape through your news working and maybe your online work as well.
Yeah, during COVID, I actually did broadcasts from home. So I set up my live unit in my dining room and I did that for months on end. And then there was a break in COVID in 2021 where I could actually, return to the office. And then we had a scare because we were dealing with COVID cases within our own department. And so then I went back at home and did some remote work there. It made it difficult. I discovered, I loved Zoom because I was able to keep up with the athletes, but I really felt bad for the high school kids because, with college, those athletes get another year of eligibility. High school, you don't. You just lost your senior season and then you're moving on to college, or that was it. That was the end of your playing career. And I just remember how difficult that was for me to watch these kids, growing up an athlete, got not to get to live out their dreams or go back to back at state. So that was difficult. But I just remember how many Zoom interviews I had to conduct in my bedroom, or, I'd have to wear a mask and stay a certain distance from my interviews. Thank goodness we have, remote equipment and wireless equipment where that could make it possible. I don't miss those days at all.
Wow, it seems like quite the change. And obviously, I'm sure something you weren't expecting at the time, something crazy to shift to, working from home. But the last
also,
question,
I had COVID too in football season last fall. And so my coworker would go out to all the games and then I would do scoring on my computer, or I'd produce the shows for news.
Wow.
Just to keep me going, because that was a long 2 weeks.
Well, talk about the grind. I'm sure you just wanted to sleep, and here you are working on the games. Wow.
Knowing my personality, I don't like to sit still for very long.
Well, Brittany, one last question I wanted to ask you, and congratulations again on your award, is for the new sportscasters and maybe new people trying to get into news, what advice do you have? Is it, like you said, balance and patience, or do you have some more advice to give to those people?
Yeah, thank you again, for sure. There is balance and patience, and obviously time management is huge, but making yourself noticeable on social media. I don't think enough of us utilize all the platforms that we have available, and getting to know your community, reaching out to your athletic directors, reaching out to the coaches, trying to find that angle that's not just wins and losses, I think will really help the newbies stand out and being able to climb the ladder a little bit quicker.
I love that. I think that's something we can all put towards our work. And one more time, congratulations, Brittany, a trailblazer, as you mentioned, the first woman to win in Idaho. And congratulations on your award. Hopefully we'll see you this summer in Winston too.
We're planning to go, so thank you so much.
Awesome.